If you're a podcaster, you totally know the feeling. You pour your heart into an amazing episode, you hit publish, and then crickets, right? With literally millions of podcasts out there, just having great content isn't enough to cut through the noise anymore. So today we're going to dive into a really powerful strategy for intentional, predictable audience growth. I want you to take a second and really honestly ask yourself this. You're putting out valuable stuff, you've got a message to share, but is it actually landing with the audience it deserves? It's one of the biggest frustrations for any creator, having a powerful voice, but feeling like you're talking to an empty room.
And that empty room? We call that the creator's echo chamber, or sometimes the ghost town phase. It's that spot you get stuck in where you're just relying on organic social media posts and shares, and your growth just flatlines. You end up talking to the same awesome but small group of loyal listeners, but you just can't seem to find anyone new.
Okay, so this slide really breaks down the two different mindsets. On one side, you've got what we call hope-based growth. This is where you post, you cross your fingers, and you basically pray the algorithm blesses you. It's slow, it's unpredictable, but on the other side, you've got intentional distribution. This is a whole different ballgame. It's a proactive mindset where you don't wait for an audience to find you, you go out and buy their targeted attention using paid ad funnels.
So what does this intentional strategy actually look like in practice? Well, it's called the Content First Funnel, and it's a strategy that uses meta ads. But hold on, this is not about just randomly boosting a post and hoping for the best. No way. This is a carefully designed machine, and it's built to get your podcast in front of the right people. We're talking qualified listeners who are primed to become your next loyal fan.
And this quote, this gets to the absolute core of the whole philosophy. The goal here isn't just to chase those vanity metrics like download numbers. It's about building a sustainable, high-converting content engine, a system that attracts your perfect listener and turns your podcast into a seriously powerful asset for your business.
All right, so how does this machine actually work? Let's get into the mechanics. It all breaks down into three very distinct, super strategic phases of growth.
So first up is the awareness phase. This is where you take your absolute best, knock it out of the park episode, your signature episode, and you promote it to a cold but super targeted audience. Next, we move into the retargeting phase. See, anyone who actually engaged with that first ad, maybe they clicked over to your podcast page, now they start seeing ads for more of your hand-picked episodes. This is how you build a relationship. And finally, you've got the nurture phase. For those really warm leads, you run a rotating ad campaign with your juiciest episodes to stay top of mind and gently guide them toward whatever you're offering.
Now, theory is great and all, but let's see how this plays out in the real world. Our first case study is pretty amazing. It looks at how an already successful seven-figure coach used this exact funnel to just shatter a plateau and build a full-on media empire.
So here was the problem. A super successful high-ticket coach was basically stuck talking to the same people over and over again in her own echo chamber. She needed to scale her entire ecosystem. We're talking podcast, YouTube, the whole shebang, and reach new people. So, the strategy? The Content First Funnel. Instead of leading with a sales pitch, they led with her best content to get new audiences hooked before they ever saw an offer.
And the results? They were huge. These content-first campaigns drove over 14,400 link clicks. Think about that. That's a massive injection of new, interested listeners heading straight to her podcast and content hub. And get this, they did it with incredible efficiency. We're talking just 20 cents per landing page view. 20 cents. For the price of, well, almost nothing, they got an engaged, qualified listener who was ready to hear more. That's a tiny fraction of the industry average.
But here's where it gets really cool. The effect wasn't just on the podcast. This paid traffic basically sparked a fire in her organic algorithms everywhere. Her YouTube channel, for example, exploded to over 23,700 subscribers in just 1 year.
So, the crucial point to understand is this. The paid strategy was the catalyst. It didn't just buy listeners. It fed the organic machine, tripling her podcast downloads and creating this powerful growth flywheel that lifted up her entire brand.
Okay, so that's how this strategy can scale an established brand. But what if you're starting from absolute scratch? Let's check out our second case study, a launchpad campaign for a brand new show with zero audience.
The challenge here is something every single new podcaster feels, right? Launching into a crowded market and trying to avoid that painful crickets phase on day one. So the strategy was pretty bold. They decided to completely bypass the slow, painful wait and hope organic phase. Instead of waiting for an audience to find them, they went out and bought one from day one. So how'd that go?
The results were immediate and so powerful. On launch day, over 1,000 potential listeners landed directly on the new podcast's page. They just completely skipped the ghost town phase and had an instant audience from the get-go.
And it wasn't just about the clicks either. The campaign generated over 100,000 impressions. For a show that didn't exist a week earlier, that's incredible brand awareness, building an instant presence right out of the gate.
This case study also proves that you don't need a massive budget to do this. They acquired each one of those high-intent listeners for just 45 cents. I mean, this is tangible proof that a smart, strategic ad spend can deliver absolutely incredible results. And that really brings us to the big lesson from this Launchpad story. You do not need a pre-existing audience to have a successful launch. What you need is a smart, intentional distribution strategy to get your brilliant content in front of the right people from day one.
You know, ultimately, what all of this is pointing to is a fundamental shift in how we think. It's about moving away from just being a creator and really adopting a distribution mindset. Just look at the difference here. The classic creator mindset is kind of like that movie line, "If I build it, they will come." The focus is like 90% on just making the thing. But the distribution mindset, it says, no, I must bring it to them. The focus becomes a 50-50 split between creation and distribution. Listeners aren't just a happy accident anymore. They are the goal.
So, as we wrap things up here, I want to leave you with this one question to really think about. For you and your podcast, what's the real bottleneck right now? Is it coming up with great ideas and actually creating the content? Or is it the struggle to get that amazing content in front of the people who really need to hear it most? The answer to that just might change everything about where you put your energy next.